You are standing in the rain outside a burning car. The flames are low now, just embers eating through leather and wire. Your badge is in your pocket, not on your chest. That's not an accident. 3 feet away, a manila envelope sits on the wet asphalt. It has your name on it, not your badge number. Your name. You don't pick it up. Not yet, because you already know what's inside. And once you touch it, there is no version of tonight that ends quietly. You joined the force 19 years ago because your father died waiting for an ambulance that never came. The dispatcher had logged it as handled. Nobody investigated. Nobody was punished. You became a cop so that word handled would never be used to bury someone you loved again. For the first 8 years, you believed in the work. You showed up early. You filed clean reports. You testified exactly what you saw, not what your sergeant told you to say you saw. Then the city changed. Or maybe it didn't change. Maybe you just finally saw what it always was. The precinct started running what they called community partnerships. That was the polite word for it. The real word was protection. Certain blocks stayed clean because certain people paid for clean. Other blocks burned because nobody was buying. You watched your partner, Marco, take his first envelope in 2019. He didn't hide it from you. He just set it on the dashboard between you and said, "We're not making enough to pretend we are." You didn't report him? That was your first compromise. You told yourself it was one envelope. You told yourself Marco had a daughter with medical bills. You told yourself you were staying clean by staying quiet. But silence, you would learn slowly, is just corruption wearing a cleaner shirt. 6 weeks ago, a woman named Daria Koss filed a report at your desk. Her son had been picked up for possession 17 years old. No priors. The case file had already been altered by the time you pulled it. Someone had added 2 prior charges that didn't exist. You recognized the signature on the amendment. It belonged to Captain Hess. Your captain. The man who had written your last 3 performance reviews and called you the conscience of this precinct, which, looking back, was never a compliment. You pulled Dariakos's original report and photographed every page. You didn't tell anyone. You drove home that night and sat in your kitchen for 2 hours without turning on the lights. The cost of staying was becoming what you'd spent 19 years hating. The cost of leaving was Dariakos's son sitting in county on charges someone invented. You chose to stay, but you chose differently this time. You started keeping records, not on department hardware, on a notebook, spiral-bound, bought with cash from a pharmacy 3 neighborhoods over. 53 entries in 41 days. Altered case files. Payments, logged to shell accounts. A storage unit on Beringer Road used to move evidence that never reached court. And then 14 days ago, you found the photograph. It showed Captain Hess, a city councilman named Pryor, and a man the department had listed as deceased since 2021. Standing together. Smiling. You stopped sleeping properly after that. 3 nights ago, Marco called you at 2 a.m. His voice was the voice of someone standing at the edge of something. "They know you've been asking questions," he said. You asked him how they knew. He was quiet for 4 full seconds. "Because I told them," he said. Marco. They have footage of my daughter's school. Man, they sent it to my phone. Just the entrance. Just kids walking in. You sat with that. You didn't say what you were thinking. You said, "Okay. Okay." He repeated. "Okay." You said again. You sat on the edge of your bed and looked at your shoes on the floor. The same brand you'd worn on the job for 11 years, resold twice. You thought about Dariakos. You thought about her son, who by now had taken a plea deal to avoid a trial built on invented evidence. You thought about the man in the photograph who was supposed to be dead. And you made a decision that had no clean version. You drove to the precinct at 4 a.m. the night sergeant was asleep at the desk, or pretending to be. You accessed the evidence archive. You pulled the physical files on 6 open cases. You photographed everything your phone could hold. Then you heard the door at the end of the corridor. Footsteps. 2 sets. You closed the cabinet, turned off the light, pressed your back against the wall, and held your breath. The footsteps stopped outside the door. "Silence." Then Captain Hess said, "Through the door. I know you're in there." You didn't answer. "I'm not angry," he said. That was the most frightening sentence you had ever heard in 19 years of police work. You stepped out. He was alone, or appeared to be. He looked at you the way a man looks at something he's already decided the fate of. "You're tired?" he said. "Yeah," you said. "Then go home." He stepped aside. You walked past him. Down the corridor. Out the door and to the Rhine. That was 3 hours ago. Now you are standing outside a burning car. The envelope on the asphalt has your home address on the inside flap. You know this because you opened one just like it 8 days ago, left on your windshield. That one contained photographs of your apartment window. This one, you suspect, contains something final. You left a notebook with a journalist 40 minutes before Marco called you. Not a major outlet. A local one. A woman who had been investigating city contracts for 2 years and had been ignored the entire time. You gave her the notebook, the photographs, and one request. "Wait 72 hours, you said. Why? 70. See. Ask it, because that's how long it'll take them to decide whether silencing me is worth the attention." She looked at you for a long moment. "And if they decide it is?" You didn't answer. You picked up the envelope now. Inside is a single card, a transfer notice. Effective immediately. Rural substation, 400 kilometers from the city. Not a bullet, not a threat, something more precise. Erasure dressed up as paperwork. You stand in the rain and feel something you don't immediately recognize. Then you do. It's relief. Not because you won. You didn't win. Dariakos's son took a plea deal. The man in the photograph is still walking around alive. And Marco will keep taking envelopes because the alternative terrifies him more than shame does. The relief is smaller than that. It's just that you are still yourself. After 19 years and 53 entries in a spiral notebook and one photograph of a dead man who isn't dead, you are still exactly yourself. You fold the transfer notice. Put it in your coat pocket. Start walking toward your car. The journalist will publish in 72 hours. Or she won't. Either way, the notebook exists now. The photographs exist. The truth, once written down, has a different kind of weight than the truth kept only in your chest. They transferred you to the edge of the map, but they couldn't transfer what you left behind.